Good day, one and all, friends and foes. You know who you are. I'm Cal, and you're listening to Missing Links Movie Podcast, your weekly reel of the latest in film news. We're going to spend some time today going over our top billed articles, new trailers, and release dates, and what's opening in theaters this week. So, whether you're a fan of Lincoln, Churchill, Jobs, Chaplin, or Capote, this is the podcast for you. The podcast is currently on Spotify and YouTube on the channel Missing Link Movies. So without further ado, let's introduce our top billed stories of the week, starting with the box office charts, as we usually do. So this is for the weekend of December 1st through the 3rd. Coming in at number 1 is Renaissance, a film by Beyonce, a new concert film that is hot on the heels of Taylor Swift's Eras Tour. I'm curious because I hadn't really heard about this being made until it came out. So I wonder how long it had been in the works, whether, if they're trying to capitalize on the success of Taylor Swift's film, or if they had already been planning it for a while and then Taylor Swift just kind of came in and, stole its thunder. Not sure, but it opened at 21 million. Which isn't horrible. I mean, that's pretty respectable for a concert film. So we'll see how it holds. Number 2 had the Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Number 3, we had Godzilla Minus One, which is excellent for a foreign language film that I don't think necessarily had the widest release in the States. But for it to be at number 3 with 11 million is really awesome. It was enough to where they've extended it for another week. It was originally going to be just one weekend only, or 1 week only rather. But it's been successful enough that they decided to extend it another week. And I saw it and it was awesome. Easily one of the best Godzilla movies. Not just a good Godzilla movie either, but just a solid movie in general. And I would highly, highly, highly recommend it. I'd have to take a look back, but definitely one of the best films of the year that I've seen. Number 4, we have Trolls Band Together. 5, Wish. 6, Napoleon. 7, Animal. 8, The Shift. 9, Silent Night. And 10, Thanksgiving. The Marvels, the newest MCU movie, has already dropped out of the top 10, despite being in theaters for less than a month now. I think this was it was their 4th weekend in the box office, and they're already out of the top 10, which is crazy enough to where even Disney said that they were going to stop reporting actuals on their weekly grosses for the Marvels. It'll still be in theaters through the new year, but the fact that from now on we're just going to go off of estimates after it only being in theaters for 4 weeks is absolutely crazy. What a disappointment for them. And it sounds like Wish will not be far behind. But our first story is sort of about Disney, specifically Pixar. It comes from Variety's Jordan Moreau. Pixar's Soul, Turning Red, and Luca coming to theaters after Disney Plus debuts during pandemic. The 3 movies will come to theaters nationwide in 2024, with tickets going on sale January 2nd. Soul is coming to theaters on January 12th, Turning Red will be on February 9th, and Luca arrives on March 22nd. They will be accompanied by the short films Burrow, Kit Bull, and For the Birds, respectively. And then the article talks about how Soul was the first Pixar movie to release exclusively on Disney Plus when theaters were closed. Luca and Turning Red later followed. These movies were not released in theaters, and the only Pixar film to be released in theaters since Onward in 2020 is Elemental, which just came out this year, which was a modest success. It looked a little touch and go, but it was able to make what it needed to. It didn't become necessarily a runaway success, but it had some legs thanks to positive word of mouth that it really just was able to consistently maintain a hold on the box office for several weeks until it was able to, end up doing pretty well. So with these three movies coming back to theaters is awesome, because all three of them were excellent movies that I really think anyone, even a casual fan of Disney or Pixar, should see. I feel like this is sort of to help prepare audiences to get used to seeing Pixar films in theaters again. So that's one reason. With Elemental, it was, like I said, it was touch and go, and I think they want a more sure success with Pixar's next film, which is Inside Out 2. Now, I think Inside Out 2, with its name recognition, was already going to do pretty well anyways, but I think this is sort of a move that Disney doesn't necessarily want or need to make a ton off of, but it's just, I think, to get that in the audience's minds that Pixar is back in theaters, back to stay. And I think the other reason is I don't think Disney really has any big releases until Inside Out 2, which is until June. So I think it's just kind of to have some sort of rotation in the box office to tie them over for that for that premiere when Inside Out 2 comes out. And so, but that being said, that makes it curious that each movie isn't as spread out until June. It's January 12th, February 9th, March 22nd. And so it'll be, how many months is it from March to June? 3 months. So, I mean, we'll see. I think we'll, like I said, I don't think necessarily is expecting these to make what they would have made if they were originally released in theaters. I think most people who probably wanted to see these have seen them. But it's cool that they get their time to shine in the theaters, even if nothing else for the animators and people who worked on these films to be able to see them on the big screen. That is, at least to me, I think, a positive aspect of this is, how much of a bummer it must have been for those animators, how demoralizing it might have been to get relegated to a streaming service premiere. So hope they're able to enjoy that moment. Our next story comes from Deadline's Justin Kroll. Adam McKay eyes climate change project for his next directing job. Adam McKay, who has been outspoken about the threat of global warming, is deciding to make his next directorial project a climate-related one. Insiders add that with that project now getting all of McKay's attention, he will no longer be directing the Netflix movie Average Height, Average Build, and the film will no longer be moving forward. McKay had penned Average Height, Average Build and brought the project to Netflix. With him no longer involved, there is no plan to find a replacement and move forward with the film. Netflix could not be reached for comment, no other plot details are known, and no other talent attachments are involved with the climate project at this time. As for Average Height, Average Build, Deadline broke the news earlier this year that Netflix had come on to the star-studded project, featuring a cast that included Robert Pattinson, Amy Adams, and Robert Downey Jr. The film followed Pattinson playing a serial killer who enlists a lobbyist, Amy Adams, to change laws that will allow him to get away with murder more easily. Downey was to play a retired cop who won't give up on the murders, and the killer tries to prevent him from dogging his trail now that he's hung up his gun. The serial killer turns himself into a I've never heard this phrase. Cause celebre? Cause celeb? Mr. Smith goes to Washington figure, shielding his true motives. So my own comments on this. Very interesting choice, considering literally his last film was also a climate change project. If you ever saw Don't Look Up on... I think that was a Netflix film as well. It wasn't technically about climate change. It was about an imminent meteor strike that, society and media was choosing to ignore. But it was a very obvious, obvious at best, ham-fisted and clumsy at worst, allegory for climate change. He's also done Vice, The Big Short. So it's interesting that he's going back to this I thought the premise of average height, average build sounded really cool. And I wish we were getting that, honestly, because with that cast, that premise, it sounds like a good time. And kind of wish we were getting that, but we'll have to see what this will turn into. So, but yeah, just kind of a short story there. Next one is just a little bit of casting news from Deadline's Anthony D'Alessandro. I think that's it. Minecraft. Wednesday star Emma Myers digs into Warner Bros. Movie. Emma Myers stars as Enid Sinclair on Netflix's most watched series ever, Wednesday. She currently stars in the streamer's Ed Helms comedy Family Switch from MCG. She has closed a deal to star in Warner Bros. And Legendary's Minecraft feature film. Myers joins the previously cast Jason Momoa, Danielle Brooks, and Sebastian Eugene Hansen in the feature take of the Mojang sandbox video game, which, at 300 million copies sold and nearly 140 million monthly active players, is the highest-selling video game of all time. An end-of-the-month start in New Zealand is being planned. Writing credits on Minecraft are still being determined, and the Pix plot is under wraps, but it's about the video game, no doubt. Something the article doesn't mention is that it's being directed by Jared Hess, who directed Napoleon Dynamite, Nacho Libre. But this is just the latest in that cast. This movie, despite being based on, one of the most successful video games of all time, has really struggled to get out of production hell. It's been going back and forth, changing writers, changing directors for several years at this point. It's up there with like the Uncharted film that, another video game adaptation that just took absolutely forever to get off the ground. But it looks like it may actually be happening this time. Like the article kind of mentioned, it's planned to start end of December, early January in New Zealand, start shooting. So we will have to see if, the fact that they're starting that soon, I think indicates that, that it's actually happening now. But curious that there's no story details or anything like that. So, but I believe it's shooting for a 2025 release. I'm looking at the Wikipedia article to see what it's been reported. Yeah, 4th of April, 2025. Interesting then that they would be shooting this far ahead. If assuming they do, let's give them 8 weeks to do principal photography. That's still more than a whole year to do post-production. So I wonder if that indicates it'll be really VFX heavy. But I don't know. That's curious. I'm not familiar with Emma Myers. I've never seen her in anything, but just considering the sort of bigness of this adaptation, I thought it was interesting. Our next story is for fans of these three. It comes from Variety's Caroline Brew. Russell Crowe, Rami Malek, and Michael Shannon to star in Nazi drama Nuremberg. Announced by Bluestone Entertainment and Walden Media. Director James Vanderbilt, known for writing and producing Zodiac prior to his directorial debut with Truth, wrote the script based on the book The Nazi and the Psychiatrist by Jack L. High. The rights to the book were acquired by Bluestone Entertainment. The film will follow Malek as an American psychiatrist tasked to determine if Nazi prisoners are fit to stand trial for their war crimes. He finds himself in a battle of the wits with Hitler's right-hand man, played by Crowe. Shannon will portray Supreme Court Justice Robert H. Jackson, the chief prosecutor in the Nuremberg trials. Production will commence in February in Hungary. Oscar nominees Dariusz Wolski and Eve Stewart will serve as director of photography and production designer respectively, with Emmy winner John Papsadera in charge of casting. And then it goes on with the producers, production companies, executive producers. This sounds like it should be I was about to say a good time, but considering its subject matter might not be the best way to describe it. But These three are really phenomenal actors, all actors I really enjoy. So if you are into them, if you're into historical dramas, that'll be something to look out for. That honestly, yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to that film. That's a cool cast, good cast. And then our last little story comes from Variety's Zach Sharf. Denis Villeneuve News says, Dune 3 script is almost finished, but, quote, for my mental sanity, I might do something else in between. Denis Villeneuve participated in a Dune Part 2 press conference in South Korea and went on record saying the upcoming Part 2 is a much better movie than his 2021 original. The sequel, arriving in theaters in March 2024, almost there, once again stars Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya and picks up the story of Paul Atreides as he leads the Fremen in a battle against the villainous Harkonnen Empire. Quote, I'm much more happy with Part 2 than I was with Part 1. I cannot wait to share it with the fans and the moviegoers. The article goes on. The director has also gone on record expressing interest in making a third Dune movie, one based on Frank Herbert's follow-up novel, Dune Messiah. So speaking to South Korean press, Villeneuve said, Dune Messiah is being written right now. The screenplay is almost finished, but it is not finished. It will take a little time. There's a dream of making a third movie. Interesting. Very cool. Very cool. The first Dune is, I just loved, is absolutely fantastic. To hear that he likes the second one more could just be, good press, trying to drum up interest, but I buy it. I think it could easily be better. Because as much as I love the first one, it is just kind of slow. It's definitely setting things up. It kind of ends on not necessarily a cliffhanger, but just like sort of in the middle of a story, very obviously. And I'm really looking forward to the sequel, and I hope it does well enough to get a Dune 3 made. That's cool. The article, he doesn't really specify what that next, let's see, that project in between the second and the third Dune, he doesn't really say what that would be. But he says, quote, my dream would be to go to a last time on this planet that I love. And by all means, let him do it. Let him do it. Let him do something else. He always does good stuff. So let him do something else in between, and come back for Dune Messiah. Let's do it. I'm in. So that's a wrap on our top stories. But for our grab bag section, I wanted to go over the winners of the 2023 National Board of Review award winners, if that makes sense. The National Board of Review is a New York society of, a film society. Their awards that they give out at the end of the year are sort of the kickoff to the awards season, and give kind of an idea of what film enthusiasts are looking at, and maybe an indication of what we might see at things like the Academy Awards later on. So I won't list off every award, but just kind of like some of the notable ones. Killers of the Flower Moon won Best Film and Best Director with Martin Scorsese. Paul Giamatti won Best Actor for The Holdovers, which is awesome. Lily Gladstone from Killers of the Flower Moon won Best Actress. Mark Ruffalo won Best Supporting Actor for Poor Things. Best Supporting Actress was awarded to The Holdovers' Divine Joy Randolph. Poor Things won Best Adapted Screenplay. The Holdovers won Best Original Screenplay. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse won Best Animated Feature, which is awesome. Really cool. Anatomy of a Fall won Best International Film. Still, a Michael J. Fox movie won Best Documentary. And interesting, but they actually looks like they actually have a stunt award, which is something that has, among audiences been an award that people want to see in the Academy Awards because of the skill and craft that it takes to be able to do that kind of stuff. And so the National Board of Review has a Outstanding Achievement in Stunt Artistry Film award, and that was awarded to John Wick Chapter 4. And let's see. So that kind of gives you, some things that, that we're going to be looking at for possibly the, Academy Awards and other related things. So Killers of the Flower Moon, The Holdovers, which is surprising but really cool. Poor Things. Spider-Man is the first one won the Best Animated Feature in 2018. So that'll be really cool if the sequel won again. And anyways, so just some curious information to know. All right, new trailers and release dates. Only one I think of note is Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire. That is the latest in Legendary's Monsterverse. I guess I didn't mention this earlier, but the Godzilla Minus One film, that is unrelated. That is its own Godzilla universe. It's not connected to the Hollywood Godzilla movies that have been coming out the last few years. But this Godzilla X Kong is the latest. It's a sequel to Godzilla vs. Kong, directed by Adam Wingard, who directed Godzilla vs. Kong. Comes out April 12th, 2024. And very different take. You have these two different interpretations of Godzilla that are very, very different going on right now. With Godzilla Minus One is a period film, much more dramatic, much more, I want to say, introspective, much more thematic in terms of its human elements. And Godzilla X Kong looks very blockbustery, very, all about the visuals and the action and the spectacle, more so than like Godzilla Minus One, which still had very impressive spectacle and visuals, but that wasn't necessarily the focus of the movie. But I'll take whatever Godzilla I can get. I love Godzilla movies, and Godzilla X Kong, even though it's a different approach and a more of a blockbustery approach, I'm still looking forward to it. I'll still watch it in theaters opening weekend, probably. So that is something to look forward to. All right, finally, opening this weekend is a crazy weekend because I looked at like 3 or 4 different places and all of them had like different lists of things that are coming out. But I'm going to try to reduce it probably to the most notable ones. So releasing this weekend, you have The Boy and the Heron, which is Studio Ghibli's Miyazaki's new film, which I'm definitely going to be seeing. Fast Charlie, Poor Things. It's got Emma Stone, Mark Ruffalo, Willem Dafoe. That's one to look out for. Ellis and Tom, Our Son, Anselm, and the Cello, and Eileen. Oh, and The Oath. So crazy, like, just, I'm not sure what's going on, but yeah, I just like saw all these. That's kind of a compilation of all these different, lists that just like seemed like there was a lot coming out this week. But shorter episode this week, but that is all we've got as we close out. Remember to come back next week, tell your friends, family, whoever who are into film, especially with award season coming up. We're going to be getting a lot of chatter about that. And there's always new stuff coming out. And so leave some comments or just like whatever about, what you've been watching. I think I'm really hoping that pretty soon I'll be able to start doing this on video. I'd love to be able to actually, film myself recording this podcast so that it's not just like a disembodied voice. But of course, I would still keep doing an audio version for podcast services. But with that being said, thanks for listening. Thanks for being here week after week. And I guess we'll now return you to your regularly scheduled life. Bye-bye.